Today, we are going to learn about Chapter 11 Human Eye and the Colorful World. In this chapter, we shall learn about human eye defects and its rectification, and few optical phenomena in nature. Let's get started with human eye. The natural optical device through which we could see object around us is human eye. It is one of the most valuable and sensitive sense organ. Out of all sense organs, the human eye is the most significant one, and it enables us to see the colorful world. The structure of human eye is given with the few parts. These parts are very important, and now see the parts and their functions now. Cornea. It's a thin membrane covering the surface of the eyeball through which light enters. It acts as a primary lens which provides the refraction for light rays entering the eye. Aqueous humor. It is a transparent gelatinous fluid secretes from ciliary muscles and fills the space between the cornea and the eye lens. It provides nutrition to the eye tissues and increases the protection against dust, wind, pollen grains, etc. Iris. It's a dark muscular diaphragm that controls the size of the pupil, and it is located just behind the cornea in the eye. Pupil. The black opening between the aqueous humor and the eye lens, since light does not get reflected from it, so its appearance is dark. The amount of light entering the eye is controlled by the size of the pupil. In dim light, it opens up completely through the iris, but in bright light, it becomes very dull. Ciliary muscle. It have two functions. First one is it modifies the curvature and thereby the focal length of the eye lens by contracting or relaxing itself to focus the image of an object on the retina according to the distance of the object placed. Second one, it holds the eye lens in the proper position. Eye lens. It is converging in nature. The convex lens is made by the jelly-like protein material. The focal length of the eye lens is changed by the ciliary muscle. Its function is to focus the incoming light rays from the object on the retina using its refractive property. Vitreous humor. It is a transparent, colorless gelatinous mass that fills the space between the eye lens and the retina of the eyeball. It helps to keep retina in place by pressing it against the choroid. Retina. It is a delicate membrane. It acts like a screen on which a real, inverted and diminished image of the object is formed by the convex lens of the eye. It contains enormous number of light sensitive cells. These light receptors are known as rod and cone cells, which generate electrical signals upon illumination. These electrical impulses are sent to the brain via optic nerves for further processing. Rods and cones. These are light sensitive cells present in retina and get activated upon illumination. Rods responds to the intensity of light, whereas cones responds to the color. These are the important parts of the eye. Dear students, in the function of human eye, a ray diagram is given. This ray diagram is not included in your syllabus. This ray diagram is only for the informative purpose. It is not there in your syllabus. The light rays from the object travel through cornea and struck to the convex lens in the eyes. The real and inverted diminished image formed on retina. Immediately, the light sensitive cells get activated and generate electrical signals. These signals are sent to brain via optic nerves. The brain interprets those signals and finally process the information so that we can perceive the object as they are. This is how the human eye functions. Prism is a transparent optical element which refracts light. In a triangular glass prism, it has two triangular bases and three rectangular lateral surfaces. These surfaces inclined to each other. The angle between two lateral faces is called the angle of prism. Now look into the diagram given. Actually, the diagram shows how we can measure the angle of deviation. This diagram can be done experimentally by taking a sheet of white paper and using a glass prism. Place the glass prism in the paper and it traces its the sides, triangular base. So the outline of the prism is, you can draw the outline of the prism. Now draw a straight line PE inclined to one of the refracting surfaces, say AB of the prism. For the one side, you are drawing a line called PE, say that is the incident ray. Now choose two positions in the line PE, that is choose the position at P and another one position say Q. These positions to fix two pins on that. Now look the images of the pin from the other face, that is you have fixed the pin on the side of AB. Now you are looking the images of the pin on the other side AC, and you can see where the image. So at the position of coinciding of the PQ pins, you fix another two pins, say R and S. Okay, you are fixing now R and S, which is similar to that. That is, it is merging with the image of pins PQ. Now remove the pins and glass prism also. Now draw using your pencil, join the lines. The line PE meets the boundary of the prism at E. Similarly, and RS also meets the boundary of the prism at F. Now you join E and F. To the faces of AB and AC, draw the normals as N dash and M dash. Now you can mark all the rest of the angle. Here PE is the incident ray and EF is the refracted ray and FS is the emergent ray. We note that the ray of light is entering from air medium to glass medium in the first surface AB. Then the light ray on refraction bent towards the normal. At the second surface AC, the light ray has entered from glass medium to air medium. So it is again bent away from the normal. Now you can, by drawing these lines, and you can observe this. The peculiar shape of the prism makes the emergent ray bent at an angle to the direction of the incident ray. This angle is called as angle of deviation. In this case, angle D in the diagram shows the angle of deviation, and we can measure that angle. This is what the refraction in prism happens. Let's move on to the dispersion of white light. When the white light travels through a glass prism, the output emergent ray gives us a color band of lights, that is VIBGR. 7 colors, vibrant colors will be. The different colors of light bend through the different angles with respect to the incident ray as they pass through the prism. From this, we are getting the 7 different colors. Here, the red light is the bends least, while the violet light is the most. So, each color emerge along the different path and they become distinct. It is the band of distinct color that we call as a spectrum. Isaac Newton was the first to use the glass prism to obtain the spectrum of sunlight. He tried to split the colors of the spectrum of white light by using a prism. So first he used a prism to got the spectrum of colors. Then again he made that emergent color band to move into the another prism which kept parallel and inverted to the first prism. The output he received is a pure white color. Thus he got an idea that 7 colors of the spectrum passes through the second prism. We can get the output as a beam of white light emerging out from the other side of the prism. This observation gave Newton the idea that the sunlight is made up of 7 colors. Any light that gives a spectrum similar to that of a sunlight is often referred to as white light. One of the example of this spectrum in natural is formation of rainbow. Now let's discuss the formation of rainbow. It is an optical natural spectrum produced by the nature in the sky in the form of a multicolored arc. Rainbow is formed due to the dispersion of sunlight by water droplets suspended in the atmosphere after rainfall. After the shower of rainfall, it is possible to observe the rainbow formation. These water droplets act like a small prism in the nature. The sunlight enter into the water droplet At the point of incidence, it refracts and disperses and then gets reflected internally and finally gets refracted again at the point of emergence as it comes out of the raindrop. So, the sunlight refraction, it undergoes refraction, dispersion and internal reflection. It gives the different colors of light rays which reaches the observer's eye and it makes a different path and become distinct. It creates the rainbow in the sky. So we can say rainbow is an example of dispersion of sun light. There are two conditions which are necessary for the formation of rainbow. The first one is the presence of water droplets should be there in the atmosphere. And the second condition is the sun must be at the back of the observer. That is, the observer must stand with his back towards the sun. Then only we can observe the formation of rainbow in the sky. Next, we'll move on to the atmospheric refraction. The refraction of light caused by the Earth's atmosphere due to gradual changes in the refractive indexes of its different layers by varying conditions of it is called atmospheric refraction of Earth. The refraction of light takes place with the different parts of the Earth's atmosphere. Then we are calling that as a atmospheric refraction. The natural example of these atmospheric refraction is twinkling of stars and advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. Now let's twinkling of stars. The twinkling of a star is due to the atmospheric refraction of starlight. The starlight on entering the Earth atmosphere undergoes refraction continuously before it reaches the Earth. The atmospheric refraction occurs in a medium of gradually changing refractive index since atmosphere bends starlight towards the normal. The apparent position of the starlight is slightly different from its original position. The starlight appears slightly higher than its actual position when we view near the horizon. Further, this apparent position of the star is not stationary but keeps on changing slightly. Since the stars are placed in a very distant, they are approximate point-sized sources of light. As the path of rays of light coming out from the star goes varying slightly, the apparent position of the star fluctuates and the amount of the starlight entering into the eye flickers. The star sometimes appears to be brighter and at some other time fainter, which causes the twinkling effect. Then we can say that the stars are twinkling. The another feature of this is advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. The sun is visible to us about 2 minutes before the actual sunrise and 2 minutes after the actual sunset also. It is due to the atmospheric refraction. By actual sunrise means we mean the actual crossing of the horizon by the sun. We can observe the diagram and notify where the sun is below the horizon and where its apparent position. So, with respect to the horizon, the time difference between actual sunset and the apparent sunset is about 2 minutes. The apparent flattening of the sun's disk at sunrise and sunset is also due to the same phenomenon. Next, we'll move on to the scattering of light. Scattering of the light, due to this only, we can observe the blue color of the sky, color of the water in the deep sea, and the reddening of the sun during the sunrise and the sunset. All these are all the wonderful phenomenon. We are familiar only with the scattering of light. And we also know about Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect is nothing but scattering of light by colloidal particle. That is, the path of the light becomes visible through a colloidal solution where the size of the particles are relatively larger, due to which the sky is appear to be blue. That reason we are going to learn now. The Earth atmosphere is a heterogeneous mixture of minute particles. They include smoke, water droplets and suspended particulate matter and many more. When a beam of light strikes such a fine particle, the path of the beam becomes visible. The light reaches us after being reflected by these particles. The phenomenon of scattering of light by the colloidal particles gives the rise of Tyndall effect. It can be also observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest. Here, tiny water droplets in the mist scatter the light. The color of the scattered light depends on the size of the scattering particles. Very fine particles scatter mainly blue light, while the particles of larger size scatter the lights of longer wavelengths than blue color. If the size of the particles is large enough, then we can say the scattered light may even appear white. We can learn this with the help of an experimental setup. Look into the screen. You have a source of white light which is allowed to pass through a lens L1, and you have a transparent glass tank. The light again allowed to pass through a cardboard disc. Again it is traveling through a lens, convex lens of L2, finally capture using the screen. In the transparent glass tank, we are having the solution of sodium thiosulfate along with 1 or 2 ml of concentrated sulfuric acid in the water. Now we will find that microscopic sulfur particles precipitating about 2 or 3 minutes. As the sulfur particles begins to form, we can observe the blue light from the three sides of the glass tank. For example, if you are standing in front of the glass container, from your front, on your left and right, you could observe the blue scattered light. This is due to the scattering of short wavelengths by minute colloidal sulfur particles. Now, you observe the color of the transmitted light from the fourth side. That is, the transmitted light can be observed on the screen, it is interesting to observe that on the first it is appear to be orange, and then it is end up with the bright red color. This gives then why sky appears blue and the sun appears to be red at the sunrise time and the sunset time. The particle scatter of shorter wavelength is more effectively than the longer wavelength, due to which the sunlight passes through the atmosphere. The blue end of the spectrum is scattered more. This enter into our eyes, and hence we can see the sky as blue.